Welcome back, I'm Paul, and this is the latest batch of rocks out of the Lotto tumbler. Sometimes when you run a 12-pound barrel like I do, where you only run coarse grit in it, and I'm constantly rolling it, and I go through it every week, and I pull stuff out that has things that I'm never going to be able to get rid of, or something that I don't think is going to polish real nice, or just a random thing here or there that you don't want to throw into a batch of something nice or a batch of all one kind of rock. I put them in a container and I just hold on to them until I get the container full and I have enough to run a batch. So this is basically that batch. It's a lot of miscellaneous things that I've been running, some things I didn't think were going to polish very nice, or stuff that I wasn't very impressed with, or a lot of littles that I didn't want to put in my other batches. So I've already spent the time to run them through coarse grit, so they're all smoothed out and they look decent, but some of them have flaws, like I said, and I'll just run those together. I didn't record all the steps of tumbling them. This is just stuff that came out of our 12-pound barrel on our weekly videos, and it wasn't really nice, and some of it's pretty decent, but a lot of it just isn't very nice, so I didn't put it in some of my other batches, and I didn't have anything going in the Lotto tumbler, so we decided we'd polish it. I don't know what we'll do with it, but it all turned out pretty decent. There's a lot of tiger eye and unikite, and there's some red jasper and labradorite, and there's some petrified wood and some things like that. So I think I'll probably sort through it and kind of get it grouped up into like kinds of rocks, and we'll see what we all have in this batch. This is all the petrified wood that was in this run, and this is some stuff that I had bought in, and I cut it all up, and a lot of it has holes and fractures in it. Like that one's got a big crack in it, but it shined up decent. It's got a lot of the petrified wood I've gotten has a lot of that stuff, and I knew that it wasn't going to turn into anything real nice, but I already spent the time on running it through all the stages, so I figured we'd finish it out. So there's nothing really cool in it. Like I say, a lot of fractures, a lot of cracks, but it's petrified wood nonetheless. This is all the labradorite that was in this batch, and you can see some of it with the labrador essence flashing when you get it in the light right. It's got a lot of like chips and fractures on the outside of it, and I don't know if I would have ran it all by itself, if I would have got rid of some of that, and maybe I'll try to put it back in there with just this and some ceramic media and try to repolish it all by itself. I have a bunch of labradorite, and I'm still got some in the 12-pound barrel that I'm still working on, so once I get it all done, I may put it back in and try to run it again. But it turned out decent. I mean, it's got some shine to it, but there's still some fractures, and it's just all chipped up on the outside. And maybe that's part of the nature of the beast with this stuff, or maybe I got some poor quality material. I'm not sure, but that's what I have, and that's all the labradorite that was in this run. This is all the unikite. I'd gotten some, and I cut it all up. I have some plans for some things, and I wanted some in some smaller pieces, and some of it undercuts a little bit. You can kind of see some quartz in that, more of a transparent in the middle. I don't know how well that shows up. It's not very deep, but it's got cool colors to it. Some of it's more pink. It's all got, some of it's some darker green, some of it's lighter green, but it shined up pretty nice. I think next time I get some, I will probably leave it in larger pieces, just so I have some bigger pieces of it, but this is all the stuff that I'd cut up. This is some desert jasper that I had in there, and due to a question from a viewer, I did a little research on this week, and I've learned, if my sources are correct, that desert jasper is another name for polychrome jasper. And some of the things that I have, this stuff isn't much of the colorful stuff, but some of the stuff that I got in the desert jasper batch is more colorful, and it reminded me a lot of the polychrome jasper that I tumbled. So I'm going to do some more looking on that, but from the one site that I'd seen, they say that the desert jasper is just another name for the polychrome. But that's a few pieces of the polychrome, or the desert jasper, that we had in this run. These are all the reds that are in this run. Most of it's red jasper, but this one is some sort of an agate. It's pretty fractured up. It's either agate or agatized wood. It might possibly be a piece of the Arizona petrified wood that you can almost see that yellowish in there with the wood grain. It could be the agatized wood. That might be what it is, the Arizona petrified wood. And then some red jasper. I don't know what's up with the white on there, but you can't feel it, but you can see it. It's almost just like a flaw in the rock. It's like cracks, essentially. And some of it's got some pretty cool colors in it. A little bit of pattern. It did shine up really nice. So that's all the reds. These are some miscellaneous pieces that were in there. I don't really know what they are other than this one for sure. This is actually a Montana moss agate that I had a subscriber send me some stuff. And I thought I kept them all together, but this one ended up in this barrel because it's pretty little, but you can see all the dendrites in it. And if I remember right, I don't know if it got mixed up, but I believe that this came with my Bahia agates. You can kind of see, I don't know if you'd call those eyes or just a pattern in it, but it's got voids in it where it won't smooth out totally. So it doesn't necessarily resemble the material that you would see from a Bahia agate, but I believe it did come with those when I made my order, but it could have got into the wrong material. And then a couple more that I don't really know what they are. And this one's some kind of quartz or an agate, but it's pretty fractured. And this is all the tiger eye that was in the batch. Oh, that's actually petrified wood. Got in the wrong pile. So it turned out pretty nice. It's got the chatoyancy of the tiger eye, the nice flicker of light. And I'd gotten this, and it kind of has, it was just ordered as regular gold tiger's eye, but on the cut, when I cut it up, there were sections of it that were blue, and I don't know what changes it to the blue color, but it was almost like a gold tiger eye on one side, and it kind of changed to blue on the other end. So as I cut it, I ended up getting some pieces that were more like blue tiger eye. And there's I don't know if it's a host material in there or what it is, but it still looks pretty decent. You can tell it's tiger eye, and it's got a good shine. But that's all the tiger eye, other than this little pile right here. And the cool thing about this pile is I happened to notice this piece right here. And I was like, wow, that's shiny. So I got my magnet out, and sure enough, I believe it's hematite. So this tiger eye must have had a band of hematite. And all these pieces over here are all magnetic. So they all have a little bit of the hematite in them. I've kind of gone through the whole pile, and some of these have just a slight little bit of where it sticks, and the other ones don't. But they've all, you can kind of see the metal in that one right there through this area right here. There's a little bit of hematite there, but the cool one was this, where you could see that big shiny chrome. I was actually trying to tumble that off of there. This was quite a bit bigger piece, and I kept tumbling it, and finally I'm like, well, I'm going to wear it down to nothing. And then after I polished it, I was like, wow, that is really shiny, just like metal. And sure enough, this one, that piece sticks really strong. So I thought that was pretty interesting that I had some hematite in with my tiger eye. So other than that, all we had was this little pile over here. And this is just a really mixed pile of all the littles. And there's a little labradorite and some petrified wood and all kinds of different stuff in there. But that's so small that it's just going to go in a little jar that we have for all of our littles. So that is everything that we had in this batch in the Lotto Tumbler. And that's kind of what I do with what you might call your misfit rocks or miscellaneous stuff that you really don't think is going to turn into anything real nice. But you spend the time running it through coarse grit, so I figured you might as well polish it. And maybe someday I'll come up with something to do with it. So that's all we've got for today. Thanks for watching.